At any point, did you start to take your foot off the gas just a little bit because you noticed he was tiring out?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely a bit. You know, I wanted to give the fans a show.
Finally, Iron Mike Tyson has made the sad admission that his fight with Jake Paul wasn't the pure boxing fight many had expected, as they had most parts of the fight scripted. Well, while he gave the reason that the fight would have been stopped by the Texas Department of Licensing and Regulations if they didn't agree to script most parts of it, boxing fans didn't find his excuse reasonable enough. This was disappointing for many, especially those who saw the fight between Iron Mike Tyson and Jake Paul as a contention for the sport of boxing, where Mike Tyson represented boxing and all of its nuances, right from the amateurs, the rankings, the trainings and sparring, the ideal way of making champions, and most importantly, the triumphs.
Like I expected it to be.
What is your assessment of Jake Paul, the boxer?
A very good fighter.
Do you think he deserves respect from the public?
Absolutely.
Hey, that was a good slap. I like that.
On the other hand, Jake Paul represented the easy and very questionable way to the top. Sadly, boxing bowed to influencer boxing because of money. More painfully, this show of shame was sponsored by one of boxing's greatest ever athletes, the baddest man on the planet. And while he has come to admit the fakeness of the fight, it sparked a mood of disappointment among boxing fans.
Fans a show, but I didn't want to hurt someone that didn't need to be hurt.
Did you carry Mike?
Yeah, I mean a little bit. Yeah, like there was a point where
Immediately after the fight, the all-time youngest world heavyweight champion took to X to explain everything that seemed to have gone wrong in the build-up to the fight, while admitting the fight was scripted to some point to avoid more health risks. In fact, the fight ended the same way actors would bade their audience goodbye after their performance. Boxing legend Mike Tyson claimed he was proud despite defeat, but partially because he overcame a medical issue, the extent of which had not been publicly revealed pre-fight. In his first social media statement following Friday's defeat to Jake Paul, Tyson said he almost died and lost half of my blood during a medical episode earlier this year. This is one of those situations when you lost but still won, Tyson wrote. I'm grateful for last night. No regrets about getting in the ring one last time. I almost died in June, had 8 blood transfusions, lost half my blood and 25 pounds in hospital, and had to fight to get healthy, so I won. To have my children see me stand toe-to-toe and finish 8 rounds with a talented fighter half my age in front of a packed Dallas Cowboy Stadium is an experience that no man has the right to ask for. Thank you. It's presumed the incident Tyson is referring to is the one that delayed the fight with Paul. Initially, the bout was expected to take place in July, but was delayed after Tyson suffered a medical emergency on a flight due to an ulcer.
This man is an icon, and it's just an honor to be able to fight him. And he's obviously the toughest, baddest man on the planet, so it was really tough.
Tyson spoke about the incident in various interviews and laid out graphic details, like him defecating a tar-like substance, but did not mention the seriousness using this vernacular. He also noted that he was aware of how many felt about the outcome and how it seemed like he didn't do enough to thrill the majority of the audience who decided to make it to the fight to cheer him on. He claimed he couldn't give his very best, nor could he perform very badly, as he and Jake Paul had an agreement. According to Mike Tyson, the fight wasn't entirely scripted, but he and Jake Paul knew they had to be easy on each other, and they both had to avoid knockdowns or knockouts. To some extent, his social media post was appealing. It seemed to calm the millions of disappointed fans who were just disappointed at the fight and his performance, but also at Netflix, whose sports streaming debut worsened the whole night's display.
Is this possibly the last time for you?
I don't think so.
You've got more in you. Who comes to mind?
Well, I don't know. Maybe his brother.
A fan on X tweeted, "You're still the GOAT, Iron Mike Tyson. I dare anyone else to try and do the same." Another added, "You're still the baddest man on the planet. Glad my kids and I got to see you in the ring one more time." One last fan added, "Honestly, you showed durability, heart, and above all else, resilience. To overcome what happened in June and even get in the ring is the biggest win of the night. Forever the GOAT." This, however, did not echo the sentiments of many active boxers like Terence Crawford, Tony Bellew, and Gervonta Davis, who felt it was a messy show, regardless.
You want to fight Logan? Logan, I think he said you might be next.
Motherfucker, I'll kill you, Mike.
No, please, no.
It's on there.
Lightweight world champion Davis immediately took to social media to give his verdict on the event and slam Paul. He wrote on Instagram, "To the bozo that shared the ring with Mike, you are a whole bozo for this, and you didn't get the job done, dumbhead. Crowd punch up at Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson branded best fight of the night." Davis then posted a separate touching tribute to former undisputed champion Tyson. He added, "You will always be a boxing legend, whether you like it or not." There will never be another one, and I understand you so well. All this stuff that is happening now means nothing. Jake Paul shockingly offered world title fight by undisputed champion after Mike Tyson win. His final messages appeared to tease a fight against Paul, where he concluded, "I'll beat the brakes off of him. When I catch him, uppercut, jab, left hook, uppercut, then just watch." Davis and Paul have previously feuded in the past, and it is clear he placed the blame totally at the door of the problem child.
Our main event tomorrow night, live on El Cayo, Jake Paul versus the...
He was then asked about Davis's comments at the post-fight press conference, and an inevitable fight response came to fruition. "Yeah, I mean, I'd be down to fight. Let's run it." He said, "Is there a height limit in boxing?"
Gervonta Davis just posted that he would beat the brakes off of you if you guys fight.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be down. Let's run it. Like, I'll be super, super down. I don't know if
Gervonta needs Jake Paul.
Paul himself was delighted with how the spectacle turned out, with a contentious win over the icon now on his professional record, and the 27-year-old was keen to salute his rival at the final bell, not steal the limelight. Mike Tyson, he's a legend. He's the greatest to ever do it. I look up to him, and we wouldn't be here today without him. This man is an icon, and it's an honor to fight him. It was tough, like I expected it to be. He's exactly what I thought. One of the greatest to ever do it. This night is not about me. I want to thank the real heroes. The US military, the doctors, the nurses in the ER, the cops, the farmers, all the people that make this world go around.
you know, I was just like, okay, he's not really engaging back. And so I don't know if he's tired or whatever. And I could just tell, you know, his age was showing a little bit. And I just have so much respect for him.
I was trying to hurt him a little bit. I was scared he was going to hurt me. I was trying to hurt him. I did my best. Meanwhile, Tony Bellew insists the boxing world should boycott Paul until he fights a suitable opponent. The former boxer was thrown out of the pre-fight press conference for his protests before the bout. "We are all to blame for this man," Bellew wrote on X. Crowd punch up at Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson branded best fight of the night. "We are all talking and watching. We have to stop this fool. Don't tune into him until he fights someone who is fit, healthy, and not a grandfather." Any proper boxing people helping Paul need to look at themselves FFS. This is just sad. Tony Bellew has claimed there was a major difference between Mike Tyson and Jake Paul during their fight, which may have influenced the outcome. And no, the former I'm a Celebrity contestant isn't talking about the 31-year age difference. The 41-year-old, a veteran of 34 top-level fights himself, has suggested there was a grand difference in the gloves both men were using. Ahead of the contest in Texas, both men agreed to a series of rule changes. Among them were shorter 2-minute rounds and an 8-round total, but also that they would wear 14-ounce gloves. That's a quarter-pound more than the common 10-ounce gloves. According to Bellew, only one man was donning the correct gloves. He tweeted, "The gloves Mike has on are looking heavily padded while Jake has on Grant's, which are full-on puncher's gloves. There is a huge difference in their gloves and I'm only watching from a bed." Even if Tyson fought with his bare fists, he wasn't throwing or connecting enough to do the required damage to win. The former undisputed heavyweight champion landed 18 punches in total and had 2 rounds where he didn't land any strikes at all. He was clearly tired and/or in pain after the early rounds. It's amazing he managed what he did. Paul had been widely criticized for taking on a 58-year-old Tyson in a professional boxing bout, with Bellew chief among his detractors. Bellew caused a stir in Texas this week for trolling Paul, but the former cruiserweight world champion found some kinder words for the problem child after he defeated Tyson. I don't like this stupid idiot kid, but I will say this. He stopped beating on Mike there and showed him some respect and dignity by letting him survive. He didn't go for the KO there, he stepped off him and let him be. Mike, we all adore you, King. You're a superhero to all of us from the proper fight business. The common prevailing sentiment following the fight is that Tyson is a legend, and we appreciate he made it out of that fight healthy.
Is it? Okay, Andreas, go on. No, legit, is it Tony Bellew? I can't tell. Is it Tony Bellew, 50 extra pounds?
Paul admitted in the post-fight press conference he didn't go for the kill when the fight was clearly here for the taking. One has to appreciate that move too. Eddie Hearn watched a boxing epic in Dallas last night, but it wasn't Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson, which he gave up on after 30 seconds. The Matchroom promoter was in attendance at the ADMITS Stadium, but it was to watch his fighter Katie Taylor, who won an actual boxing match before the farcical main event. The Irish puncher beat Amanda Serrano in an epic, and Hearn was seen going bonkers in the ring when the result was announced. Albeit, it was a contentious one which was booed in some corners of the arena as she retained the undisputed light welterweight title.
Okay, Andreas, go ahead. Andreas, go ahead.
Mike Tyson, Mike, this question's for you. Given everything that you've gone through in your life and your career, you're coming back to the ring at the age of 58. How big would
Any dissent to that one was quickly overshadowed by a main event that tried and failed to be taken as a serious encounter. YouTube star Paul took on retired 58-year-old Tyson live on Netflix and won on points, the standard so poor that many paying punters walked out without even hearing the result. And Hearn was one of those that gave up on it early doors. I didn't really watch it. I was in Katie Taylor's changing room. I watched the first 30 seconds, which were quite entertaining. After that, it was horrible to watch. It was hard to watch, and it was always going to be like that.
Did you enjoy watching most of that fight? The back, it was hard to watch, but it was always going to be like that. But it doesn't have to be. They're not making this for me. Look how many people turned up. Look how many people tuned in. So I can't knock it. It's just not for me, and that's not disrespectful. I love boxing. I don't want to see Mike Tyson stuff.
Mike came out like a raging bull, but after that he was gassed. Mike's a legend, and he showed a load of heart, but you just don't need to see it. In a recent interview with Fight Hub TV, the self-proclaimed GWO greatest woman of all time, Claressa Shields, made controversial comments directed at Mexican champion Saul Canelo Alvarez. Shields urged Canelo to accept a fight against Jake Paul after Paul's controversial victory over boxing legend Mike Tyson. During the interview, Claressa Shields was asked for her opinion on Jake Paul's next opponent. Without hesitation, Shields suggested that Canelo should take on Paul to prove that the YouTuber turned boxer is not a real contender.
Which one of you guys who Jake Paul is calling out, and I'm even gonna say this for the King Canelo. If Jake Paul is calling you out talking about some he can beat you in a fight, why won't you just whoop his ass? Yes.
He said he wants to fight Canelo now. This is what I don't understand about the men in boxing, okay? Here we go. People say Jake Paul isn't a real boxer. He's bad for boxing. He's not that good. Then why won't any of you step in the ring and fight him and beat him? Shields stated. Claressa Shields pointed out that, in her opinion, if anyone questions Jake Paul's skill, the best way to silence the critics is to face him directly. She also emphasized that a fight against Jake Paul could be an easy win for Canelo, who could showcase his superiority in the ring while earning a significant paycheck. Claressa Shields also shared her thoughts on the recent fight between Mike Tyson and Jake Paul, which sparked divided opinions among boxing fans. Although Paul won, the champion highlighted that the real stars of the night were female fighters, Amanda Serrano and Katie Taylor, who delivered a high-quality spectacle on the undercard.
Just do it. What is all this? Oh, he hasn't earned the fight with me. He isn't that great. He's not a real boxer. Well, show him he's not a real boxer.
Get some free money.
Shut him up. It's a check. I heard that he made $40 million a night.
Mike Tyson and Jake Paul, it was what it was, but the girls stole the show tonight. I think boxing fans were considering Amanda and Katie's fight as the real main event here. But of course, Mike Tyson is Mike Tyson, said Shields. The boxer also expressed doubts about Jake Paul's progress as a professional fighter. According to Shields, she did not observe any significant improvement in his technique, but admitted that Paul is a marketing genius, able to draw thousands of fans to the arena. Claressa Shields acknowledged that, although she doesn't fully sympathize with Jake Paul, she cannot ignore his ability to attract large crowds and generate interest in boxing. The fight between Paul and Tyson managed to draw over 60,000 people to the arena, which, according to the champion, is an impressive achievement for someone with a background as a YouTube content creator.
And Tyson made $20 million. Hey, if they gonna pay Canelo that type of money for a guy who can't fight, for a guy who they say not a good boxer, come on now, let's be real.
Jake Paul picked up a unanimous decision win over Mike Tyson in the highly anticipated Netflix bout from ADMITS Stadium in Arlington, Texas. Neither fighter really set the world on fire in the first round. Paul was cautious in his approach, and Tyson didn't seem able to take advantage. Given Tyson's age, a strong start was necessary to put the pressure on his opponent. Instead, he gave time for Paul to find a rhythm in the early rounds. Paul stood landing with some regularity starting in the third round and looked like he might earn a knockdown in the fourth. Tyson continued to look his age as the fight wore on. Tyson threw the occasional bomb, but it only threatened air and made him slower. As the fight wore on, Paul settled into a groove while Tyson just didn't have the movement to evade a return fire. The memes in reaction to Tyson's performance were everywhere.
2-minute rounds, Tyson's wanting to see more action. Waboto, Evander Holyfield, you get the gist.
And everybody was saying,
land this jab right there that really knocked Jake back. But then we see the right hand grazes.
The controversial Paul has now won 5 in a row. He continues to be the main draw in the influencer boxing world through his dedication to actually improving his skills and strategic selection of opponents. In many ways, this is the biggest win of Paul's career to date. The biggest criticism that could be lodged against Paul's boxing aspirations is that he doesn't have wins over fighters with an actual boxing resume. Tyson is the first fighter with a legitimate boxing resume that Paul has faced. Granted, he's a 58-year-old shell of what he used to be, but he is a former world champion who is probably the most famous boxer alive. Now Paul is already angling for an even bigger fight against a much more relevant opponent.
To the returning legend. Nice body shot. Paul, 12 of 53, 23%. Tyson coming up in that fight with
that mouthpiece.
Oh, left hook. Triple left hook.
Right there and knocked Mike off balance 2 times.
This moment will prove I'm the face of boxing, the largest attraction, Paul said ahead of his fight against Tyson, per Mark Giannotto of USA Today, and me versus Canelo at 200 pounds for the Cruiserweight Championship of the world is the biggest fight, arguably even bigger than me, versus Tyson, and it makes so much sense. The bout might make so much sense for Paul's bank account. There's no denying that Paul's fights have developed a large audience. Whether it's Paul supporters following his journey into boxing or detractors hoping to see him lose, this fight is evidence that there's a massive market for Paul fights. However, there's a big difference between fighting a 58-year-old Tyson and a 34-year-old Canelo Alvarez who is still fighting at a championship level. As for Tyson, this should be the end of the line. It was one thing when Tyson signed on to fight fellow aging boxing star Roy Jones Jr. back in 2020. Both were well past their prime, and it wasn't a sanctioned bout.
Mike was threw a good right to the body, pushed Mike off balance again because Mike wasn't ready for it.
He's turning into a boxer.
Yep, good shot by Mike.
Again, the left hook by Paul. Right hand lands for Paul.
Here we see Paul look down and come over with overhand right.
Wow.
Right on Tyson's nose, good shot, little bit. And then you see
However, this was way different, as in the end, it was sad, it was unedifying, it was even, frankly, boring. But it wasn't quite the humiliation it threatened to be, as 58-year-old Mike Tyson was still on his feet at the end of 8 2-minute rounds against 27-year-old Jake Paul at ADMITS Stadium in Arlington, Texas on Friday night. But predictably, Tyson lost, defeated not just by the younger Paul but the perennially undefeated Father Time, the once dynamic former heavyweight champion of the world, just a shell of the man he once was, like an empty chrysalis after the life inside has flown far away. On the flip side, Tyson at 58 whipped himself into solid shape and even took a round on 2 of the judges' scorecards. And that's all for now. For the very best updates on news, moments, events, and actions in the world of boxing, stay connected with us by subscribing to our YouTube channel, and don't forget to turn on notifications to get notified when we drop quality contents like this. Until next time, peace out.